Okay, it's multiplying matrices, day 2. In order to multiply matrices, the number of columns in the first matrix must match the number of rows in the second matrix. So I think it's best to just show you one and show you what I mean here. Let's get to this. If you're going to multiply these two matrices, first thing you should do is write down what they are. They're a what by what. And remember, it's always rows and then columns. So in this matrix, it's a what by what? It's a 1 row by 3 columns. Good. And what's this other one? A 3 by 2. Now, some weird looking combos will work, and this is one of them. Because if these two numbers on the inside match up, remember this was rows then columns, rows then columns. If the columns match the rows, columns on the first one match the rows on the other one, then it will multiply. If those two numbers don't match, then it won't multiply. And I think you'll see why in a minute when we actually do this. Aha, Maddie. It goes on my desk. All right, so on this the first set of slides, all it is do they work or not? This one works because they're both 3s. So what's the answer? The answer will be a 1 by 2 matrix. 1 row by 2 columns. Okay? Oh, that seems weird. 1 row by 2 columns means there'd only be like 2 elements of your matrix. It's like that. 1 row, 2 columns. All right, so this next one, it's a what by what? 3 rows by 2. Okay, how about the one after that? 2 by 2. Please be writing these down. 2 by 2. And then, if these two match, all it means is it works. And then these two are, the actual answer will be a 3 by 2. 3 rows, you can do it this way if you want, by 2 columns. All right. Now, how do you actually do them? That's going to be more complicated. I think I've done enough of those. I think you get the idea. This is a 3 by 3, and this is a 3 by 2, and this works, and it's a 3 by 2. Get the idea? All right. So, let's do one. Do you think this one will work? Well, it's a 2 by 2, and a 2 by 2, and it's always rows by columns. And then these match up, and so the answer is a 2 by 2. So good, it's got an answer. But what is it actually? My best way of telling you how to do this is to try to figure out what each spot is. Now, if you were going to do tons of multiplying matrices, it'd be best if you could like just kind of get the pattern for this. But at least the first few times, I think it's best if you just label each spot. Would you agree this is in row 1, and this is column 1? Would you agree that this spot over here is in row 1 still, but it's column 2? Go ahead, finish that off. This is row 2, but column 1. And the last one, Mr. B. Row 2, column 2. Good. Now, let's say I actually wanted to get the answer to put in this spot right here. Well, I'm going to take row 1 and put it with column 1. And I'm going to do it with a highlighter. You can do it any way you want to. But I'm going to use my little highlighter tool. Where the heck is my highlighter? Maybe it's one of those. There we go. Highlighter. Okay. Here's row 1. Here's column 1. Now, does that make sense to you that this spot right here, I'm going to take row 1 and column 1 and put them together and put the answer right there? Okay? So which ones correspond? I think this will make sense to you. The 1 goes with the 5, and the 3 goes with the 6. So 1 times 5 and 3 times 6. Why am I timesing? Because this is a multiply problem. So 1 times 5 is 5, 3 times 6 is 18, 5 plus the 18. I know it seems like you could multiply them, but you don't. So it's 5 plus the 18. 5 plus 18, I think, is 23. So I'm taking this out, and I'm putting in 23. Raise your hand if you think you followed that. All right, so a few people are saying they're not following it, so I'm going to try another one with you. So row 1, column 2, I'm going to do the next one. So I'm going to get rid of all this extra stuff here, don't need. And row 1, column 2, I'm going to do this one. I'm trying to move all of that over a little bit. Okay, row 1, column 2. Here's row 1, here's column 2. So the 1 and the 7 go together. 1 times 7 is 7. 8 times 3 is 24. 7 and 24 make 31. So that's gone. I'm going to put in a 31. How many of you had 31 before I even said 31? Okay, good. Finish it off. Find these last 2 spots. There's less people today, but you can still compare with others. So I want you two to compare with each other. And you're going to turn sideways and compare with her. You are going to compare sideways with him. For today, Miss B, you are comparing with Mr. B. And you two diagonally here. And then you two in the back corner. Okay? Compare with each other. Make sure you got the same answers. I'm going to pause while you try this. So does this one work? Actually, wait. I should finish this last problem. For the people at home, what were the last 2 answers? What and what? Say it if you know it. 34 and 46. Raise your hand if you can verify that. Okay, good. Then, let's do this one. Is it really a 2 by 1? Would you agree? 2 rows, 1 column. Okay, what's this one? 2 by 2. Does it work? No, you can just be done right there. Because this does not match this, you are done. And there's no solution. You know what the fastest way to write no solution is? First of all, don't leave it blank, because that just means you don't know what you're doing. No solution? That. That's the empty set. It's a 0 with a slash through it. It means the set of solutions for this problem is an empty set. All right, moving on. This is a what by what? 2 by 3. This one's a what by what? 3 by 1. Do they match up in the middle? And the answer is going to be a 2 by 1. Why don't you finish it? You figure out what the spots are, like row 1, column 1 is the very first one, of course. So this is only going to have 2 elements in it. The first one's row 1, column 1. And the second one is row 2, column 1. And so then if I pull up my highlighter again and say here's row 1, column 1, all 3 numbers have to go together. 1 times 4 is 4. 5 times 0 is 0. 9 times 7 is 63. 63 and 4 make 67, and you put 67 right there. Raise your hand if you got the same thing as I did. Okay, awesome. And the other one, you're going to move this down 1. It's row 2, but with column 1. Oh, man. Connected. Fine. Draw them again. Row 2, column 1. And that's going to make an 8, a 0, and a 72. Does that make an 80? Okay, good. That's all there is to it. That is matrix multiplication. That is on ACT tests. Is it on every single ACT test? No. Because the ACT has like 14 varieties every year. And then every year they change it. but it's one of the questions that might be on your ACT. And if it is, you can be happy because actually a lot of kids don't know how to do this and will get it wrong. And you hopefully remember how to do it. If you had trouble with this on the ACT, there is a backup way in case you forgot how to do this. And that would be to put them into your calculator and use a matrix multiplier in your calculator. I'm going to see if we get to that later in this lesson here because let's get to example 6. I don't know if we're going to use calculators or not today, but eventually I'll show you how to use that calculator for sure before we're done with this unit. I can't remember if we're using calculators in the test or not. I know you don't need them to do this test, but whether or not you can or not is a different question. All right, what if there's a variable? Well, you still do the whole 2 by 2 thing. And then this spot is still row 1, column 1. Well, outside tells me it's a 2 by 2 matrix answer. Inside tells me it works. And this is row 1, column 2. And this is row 2, column 1. And this is row 2, column 2. Okay. And all that happens in this spot, the place with the 2A, that's obviously the one thing that's different, is that when you're doing the row 1 and the column 1 here, you go 2A times 1 is 2A. And then you go 6 times the 3 makes 18. And can you actually add 2A and 18? No, you put 2A plus 18 right there. So instead of actually getting an answer with a number like 27, you stick in the A and you say 2A plus 18 for that spot. Okay? So that'll happen every now and then. And sometimes then they'll say, what if the answer matrix was supposed to be 18 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. They tell you that first spot's supposed to be 18. Then what can you say about A? A must have to be 0. That way 2A can be 0 plus 18, which will make it 18. You can see how really what they set up is a little equation that 2A plus 18 needs to equal 18. And then you can solve it from there. Subtract 18 from both sides. Divide by 2. You'll get A must equal 0. Okay, so you can make these problems more tricky by throwing in a variable. And this is the first homework problem. So let's do the first homework problem together. This is problem number 1 off your homework. Actually, might as well pull up your homework then, if it really is the first homework problem. So everybody find the worksheet for today. I'm going to pause while you do that. Okay, so here we are on the homework. And first thing you should really do, this isn't just because we did it in the homework, it really does help. This is 2 by 2, 2 by 2, and you just do a quick double check that those match up, and the answer must be a 2 by 2. So you know your answer is a 2 by 2, so you can make a little box that's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots in it. Okay, so now my answer is a 2 by 2 matrix, and I'm going to go, all right, 6 times 0 is 0. This is row 1 and column 1. And 2 times 3 is 6, and the 0 plus the 6 makes a 6. Okay. The next spot, do you have to actually write out row 2, column 1 every time? No. You start getting used to it. But this is row 1, column 2. So row 1 and move this thing over and it'll be column 2. And I know which ones to use now. I use row 1 and column 2. And I get 0 and 0, which makes 0. That spot right there is a 0. Okay. Nice, easy day. It's a good day for those kids to have missed the freshmen because they'll be able to make that up easily. Hopefully they're smart enough to have watched the video. If you're watching right now, nice work. Okay, so given that we have a lot of work time today, I don't need to cut out a lot of these. But why don't we just cut out a couple bland normal ones. Let's cut out 6 and 8. And skip 6 and 8. Probably got enough practice without those two. And that's all I have for you for today.